Good evening, humans. Tyrannosaurusmoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the Uncensored Collection Sabu figure from Epic Toys. Let's do this. Aesthetically speaking, this figure definitely looks decent, and yeah, so I guess starting off with the face sculpt, Sabu, they did a really good job here. Fantastic sculpt, to be honest. The paint is a little hit or miss, as you can see, because the hair is part of the head sculpt. Because they didn't go like all the way to the edge of the hair, especially here on the side, it looks a little awkward. It's definitely noticeable, especially because it's so front facing, like literally. So that's not the best, but everything else here is definitely nice. Like even the nice little sculpt work with the kind of forehead and the wrinkles there. So some very nice work. Then we get to the rest of the torso, and they do have, not only, his physique in terms of, his musculature, but also some of the scars he has. And that really helps kind of, I think, sell the look of Sabu. So really good work done there. Then of course we get his wraps here on the left arm, as well as his wrists. Then we get the wrap here around the waist. Then we get to the pants, and definitely I've seen critiques online or people kind of saying, yeah, they're too thin, and I agree. Though I can see where the decision might have been made for that, because obviously it doesn't break with the sculpt quite as much where it's thin, but it definitely still doesn't look quite right, especially when put against the torso, to be completely honest. So there's that, but I do absolutely adore the color they used here, this nice metallic purple. As you can see that shine just reflecting off my lights. There's some really, really nice depth to it, which you wouldn't, I guess, expect given some other things about the figure, and we'll get into them as we go along with this review. But yeah, so very nice there, and you got some nice wrinkles and stuff like that. Definitely flat in places. Again, at the knees, it just kind of is there. And yeah, so there's that. And then we get to the boots, and that's just plain white plastic. The pins on this figure are very noticeable. We'll definitely point that. It's kind of an elephant in the room. Not really. Even here with the hands, though we'll get into that in the next section. As you can see, there's kind of discrepancy here, and we'll address that. But yeah, overall, like, definitely some good stuff, definitely some not so great stuff, and it's a bit of a mixed bag. So that's aesthetics. Not a ton of accessories here, but we do get something to talk about. So let's get into it. So I'll actually start off this time talking about, so for his entrance gear, we do get his headdress, and I think this is sculpted beautifully. It holds on the head just exactly as it should. Really love the shade of gold they used, and that shade of purple that really ties into the ring gear pants that he has on. Just really excellent work here. One of the best pieces of the figure, to be completely honest. Yeah, I was thinking they did really, really good there. So there's that. Then we get into some hands, and right out of the box, we do get a left hand in the requisite C grip. And you get, as we point out in the last section, you can see that very prominent pin. And we can also see the pin in our pointing finger hand. So there is that. And then we get a couple of alternate hands, and those are both also C grips, just without the pin. And I don't know why he has two gripping hands for the left hand, one with the pin, one without. That's kind of confusing me. I'm not sure if you know any of the history of this figure and the 2 years it took to get here, to get the figure in hand. Some stuff happened. The original company that put this together was Cella, and now it's Epic Toys. I'll go into this more at the end, but in any event, a lot of really weird stuff going on. So that's accessories. Articulation here is interesting. So let's talk about it. So no freestanding kicks here. I did get a freestanding kick out of this when I first got it and got it out of the box. And I will also say that, the day I got this figure in the mail, Epic Toys had made a post on their social media sites that a lot of people here in the US that were getting it were reporting issues with the peg at the hips. Apparently they're just like breaking right out of the box. I've so far been fortunate, knock on wood, that they haven't broken, but there's definitely other things here that are unrelated. So breaking it down, we do get a barbell joint from the body into the head, but it's not going anywhere, like anywhere. Like, I mean, obviously the hair sculpt is very, very tight. So we're not getting any up. We're not really getting any down. We don't even get to turn. Like the hair just has no movement whatsoever. So we're not going anywhere. So the head basically just kind of does that. That's about as much as you get. When you get down to the shoulders, we do have some like hidden butterflies. I actually love this concept. I think this was really cool. So we get a little bit of forward, whoa, pardon me, a little bit of back, and yeah, I think that's really cool that it's kind of like you don't notice there's a butterfly joint there until you actually articulate it. That's pretty cool. It gives some extra range, doesn't break up the sculpt. I like this idea a lot, honestly. We get to the shoulders, we're hinge and swivel. So we get into our perfect T, we do a bicep swivel. Then we get single jointed elbows, just kind of like the older elites. And yeah, not even 90. That's actually that's really bad range. Yeah, it runs right into the sculpt. It just doesn't go anywhere. So you could shave that down, but that's about where it is. Then we get to the wrists. We are hinge and swivel, so all horizontal. Then we get to the diaphragm, and this is a ball joint, but it doesn't offer us almost anything. Like no real forward, no real back. Can't even rotate with it. Actually, when you rotate it, it comes out. So you can see that it's very similar to what we see with the AEW figures from Jazzwares. But because of the sculpt, there's really nowhere for it to go. Then we get to the waist, and I believe this is supposed to be a crunch. Like that looks like it's supposed to be a crunch. And the more I try to move it, I don't want to break anything, and it kind of feels like stuff's moving. This is definitely very hard plastic. And yeah, not really anything back either. It's just kind of there. So I'm a little worried about that. So it's there and it's well hidden. Again, if that functioned, I think it'd be amazing because it would add this nice level of crunch, especially if it went all the way. But as it stands, the legs are on just kind of ball joints, and we do get some nice range. We do come out, but these have loosened up a ton since I took it out, and yeah, they just kind of flop down. There we go. So we do get, so we get that. We kind of get splits. And then our forward kick is actually nice, like pretty much full 90, as it should be. Beautiful. Then we do get thigh swivel. We get double jointed knees, should bring us to about there. It looks like we should get boot cut, but we do not. And we can see that giant pin in the ankle. And that gives us insane point, insane forward. And you can actually see the forward pin moving in there. So we get some excellent rocker as well, probably better than we get with, WWE figures. But the lack of boot cut really kind of hurts this as well. So I guess that will do it for articulation. Getting into size comparisons, here is with some other wrestling lines. With some domestics. With some imports. With some monsters. Finally, with an articulated icons Oni and yours truly in human form as a Valorous Action Force figure. So my final thoughts on the Uncensored Collection Sabu figure from Epic Toys is that this is a very interesting one, and that's not necessarily a good thing. But also, I do definitely want to say that is not Epic Toys' fault. Again, this was originally started, this was a pre-order from a company called Cella Toys about 2 years ago. That company, something happened. I don't even actually remember, to be honest. And Epic Toys came in, kind of took over all of their production, all of the projects they had, and put those into motion. I think with the intention of kind of rolling that into what they want to do. And yeah, I gotta say, like, they did the best with what they have. I mean, they have stated that they did not change any of the engineering or the plans or the sculpt or anything like that. This is all Cella Toys original stuff. And then, so Epic Toys basically just brought this to fruition, and that's kind of the extent of it. And even then, again, with the hip joints, apparently there's issues there. So luckily I avoided the break, knock on wood, again, as of right now, but everything else is just kind of what it is. And I gotta say, You know, especially at the price point, it's a little surprising. And, you know, I, once again, do not lay this blame on Epic Toys because they're just kind of going forward with what was already in place. But, you know, I think this was $40 to pre-order, going between that and what other companies offer for the same price. Other independents, not even just on other, like, I'm not talking like your Mattels and your Jazzwares and all that. I'm talking like Boss Fight and other studios that are other toy companies that are definitely on a much more restricted budget and all of that. Just, yeah, it's, I think if you missed out, you didn't really miss out. And you know, it's I'm trying to stay as positive as possible here. There are some really good things, especially those butterfly joints in the shoulders. The whole like hidden nature of them, I think that's brilliant. The color of the pants is great. The likeness is definitely pretty good. There is some really nice sculpt here. It's just kind of ruined a little bit by the articulation. No boot cut is kind of weird, especially with some of the other articulation points. The non-working ab crunch is just strange. So there's that. So yeah, a very interesting piece. And for those that are on the other side of receiving their pre-order who kind of had it delayed another time so they could fix the hip joints, you know, I kind of hope those ones turn out better and that people get a better product there. And I'm kind of excited to see what Epic Toys does with this line if they decide to continue it and hopefully re-engineer just all the articulation or most of the articulation anyway, and kind of, you know, clean it up and bring it out, because there's a lot of potential here and it just falls flat. So yeah, a very interesting piece. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this figure from here on out, whether I'm going to keep it as kind of a conversation piece or what, but yeah, if you are interested, it is no longer available. Again, this kind of came and went, so it's just an oddity now in the wrestling figure, you know, kind of ether. So there's that. But yeah, I hope you found this review informative and somewhat entertaining. And if that's the case, you know, I hope you join me again, because I do multiple reviews a week of action figures related to tokusatsu, dinosaurs, monsters, pro wrestling, of course, and more. So if that's the case, let's, you know, come back, let's discuss some beautiful plastic, and let's just escape the world for a while. But at the end of the day, I just hope you're well, hope that all of your toy dreams come true, and most importantly, I hope that you and yours stay weird, simians.